Hello and welcome to Channel Sport this morning. It's great to have you join us again. I am Taya Salam. This is what the show looks like. We're starting off on a great note concerning the Super Falcons of Nigeria. They have qualified for the 2022 Africa Women's Cup of Nations after they defeated Cote d'Ivoire 1-0 in the second leg of the final qualifiers played in Abidjan last night. It was a 3-0 aggregate scoreline at the end of two legs for Nigeria. So congratulations to the Super Falcons of Nigeria. As a matter of fact, they're back in the country already. Also on the program, talking football, but this time the UEFA Champions League. It was Anthony Elanga that came off the bench to rescue Manchester United from the jaws of defeat against Atletico Madrid in the round of 16 first-leg clash. Also on the show this time around, still talking football, but in the Premier League, ladies and gentlemen, we have a title race on our hands. That's after Liverpool thrashed Leeds United by 6-0 to close the gap on Manchester City to 3 points. All right, so there's a lot to come on the show later on. That's just a teaser, so try and stick with us for the next 55 minutes or thereabouts. I'm not flying solo on the show. I've got Damilo Jusaliu, of course, making a comeback. It's not like you've been out for a while, but it's good to always have you back.
It's good to be on Sports
after a couple of weeks away.
Yeah, I think I was here 2 Fridays ago.
Exactly, a couple of weeks.
It was exciting to be on the show, and it's good to be back, especially the morning after the Super Falcons have officially booked their place in Morocco later this year. Yeah,
indeed, I was a bit nervy, but they got the job done, right? All right, so we'll come back to our proper analysis and the dissection of that particular game between Nigeria and Cote d'Ivoire. The NBA is going to return tonight or early tomorrow morning Nigerian time after the All-Star break. We've got some very interesting fixtures to look forward to. For me, I'm looking forward to seeing the Celtics, the Boston Celtics, taking on the Brooklyn Nets. The Celtics, they were in great form before the All-Star break. They'll look to continue that momentum when they take on the Brooklyn Nets. And for Brooklyn, it's all about the retooled roster, how things going to pan out for Brooklyn now. Let's take a look at the fixtures first before we focus on the matchup between Boston and the Brooklyn Nets. That's going to be a fantastic fixture, no doubt. We're also going to see the likes of the Golden State Warriors in action as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing them play against the Portland Trail Blazers. But before then, there are the matchups between the Cleveland Cavaliers, one of the surprise teams of the Eastern Conference. As a matter of fact, of the All-NBA, they'll be taking on the Detroit Pistons, one of the worst teams in the league. So you expect the Cavs to get the job done in that one. In other fixtures, the Celtics versus Nets, Hawks against the Chicago Bulls. We also have the Memphis Grizzlies with a young superstar in Ja Morant. They'll be taking on the Minnesota Timberwolves. There's also the Phoenix Suns, the best team in the NBA, taking on the OKC Thunder. Warriors versus Trailblazers, and last but not the least, the Nuggets taking on the Sacramento Kings. Let's talk about the Celtics and the Nets. Before the All-Star break, you saw that blockbuster trade that sent James Harden to Philly and Ben Simmons, Seth Curry, Andre Drummond to Brooklyn. Now everyone is looking forward to seeing what they're going to come up with.
Yeah, I think it's really exciting for the Nets. They had issues with James Harden and we know the issues with Kyrie Irving. Hopefully that will be sorted out soon. There's a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel potentially because the mayor in New York City might eventually lift the vaccine mandate, and if that happens, Kyrie Irving will get to play in home games for the Brooklyn Nets. But you already mentioned Ben Simmons as well as Seth Curry. These are two really, really good additions for the Brooklyn Nets, and they have to put a stop to what has been a horrendous run so far. I think they've lost 10 straight games, and they need to start getting wins if they're going to avoid the play-in tournament. If you can get the likes of Ben Simmons and Seth Curry on court, you always give yourself a chance. Kevin Durant, you know the kind of player he is, even though, of course, injuries, he couldn't play at the All-Star weekend. But for the Brooklyn Nets, the time is now. They have to start getting those wins, and what better place to start than with the Boston Celtics?
Yeah, what better place to start than the Boston Celtics. The last time these two met, it was a complete annihilation of the Brooklyn Nets by the Boston Celtics. For Coach Ime Udoka, it's all about carrying on from where they stopped before the All-Star break. Let's take a listen to him.
Build on the things we did well. We've done well going into the break. Keep that momentum up. Defensively, we've been really good, and obviously want to keep that up, but also improve in certain areas. And offensively, continue to build. We've gotten to the top 10 over the last 25 or so games, and want to improve in that area. And so today was more of a mini training camp, just kind of refresh our minds on the things that we were doing well, get up and down, and bang bodies a little bit as far as that. But the focus will be obviously game specific, starting with Brooklyn. But the last piece that we talked about was 22 games left, 60 down, and how fast this is going to go. And so we want to continue to play the right way, the way we have going into the break, other than the Detroit game, but for the most part, build on that and, get ready for the stretch run.
Emil Doka, this Boston Celtics coach, hoping that they can sustain the momentum post the All-Star break. Before we leave the NBA, a quick one on the Phoenix Suns. Chris Paul, unfortunately, is out for a while with a hand injury. And what kind of impact is that going to have on the Suns' season running?
It's going to be a big miss. It's going to be a big miss. We know when it comes to creating plays, when it comes to assists, Chris Paul is right up there in the NBA. And Devin Booker spoke about it, that he will be a huge miss. And I think we all understand this particular one. Phoenix Suns have been doing amazing this season. With Chris Paul not in that team, expect some of the offensive play to suffer. Maybe this is the situation where the amount of wins that they've gotten prior to Chris Paul's injury will be enough for them to ensure that they don't have too many issues as regards to playoffs. But I expect to see a dwindling in form. Maybe not too much, but Chris Paul is the kind of player that you will always miss in your roster. Yeah,
there's no doubt about it. And the name beats me now, the guy that's going to come in for Chris Paul Payne or something along those lines. But then there's going to be a lot of pressure on Devin Booker now to not only score, but to also create and play make for the Phoenix Suns. In terms of the playoffs, I think they'll make the playoffs easily. They have enough wins already. But it just remains to be seen if they can maintain their #1 status in the Western Conference. So we'll see how that one pans out. Before we leave basketball totally, let's just tell you that the Tigers captain Ike Diogo is going to play for Zamalek. That's the defending champions in the second season of the Basketball Africa League.
Yeah, I mean, this is good news for him.
Yeah.
This is good news for him. We know when you talk about the Basketball Africa League, we only had one season. That was the inaugural one, and Zamalek did really well. And then we love when our players ply their trade in clubs that are doing well. Of course, we know the situation with the fact that there's no Nigerian team at the Basketball Africa League. Yeah. But it's good to see our Tigers captain will be representing Zamalek, and hopefully they can go on to defend their title, because they are a team that really knows what they're doing as regards to basketball court.
No doubt about it. So we wish Ike Diogo all the best in the Basketball Africa League. Of course, that league is being organized jointly by the FIBA and the NBA. It's quite a shame that there's no Nigerian side. Who knows, perhaps if the Rivers Hoopers were playing, Ike could be playing for them, but you never get to know anyways. All right, that's it for basketball now. It's time to talk about football, and there's no better place to start other than the Falcons of Nigeria going to Abidjan yesterday to get a second leg win to wrap up a 3-0 aggregate scoreline to advance into the 2022 Women's Africa Cup of Nations. It was a very nervy game, like I said at the start. As a matter of fact, they considered the penalty in the first half, but then the goalkeeper, Chamaka Nadoze, came to the rescue. Confirmation of the results, 1-0 in favor of Nigeria, and he ended 3-0 on aggregates, while the other matchup that went down yesterday between Cameroon and Gambia ended 2-1. And look at that scoreline, 10-1 in favor of Cameroon. And as a result, Cameroon are also through to the Women's AFCON. All right, other results as well too. We have Zimbabwe defeating Botswana, while Equatorial Guinea defeated Tunisia, but wasn't enough. Tunisia advancing 7-3 on aggregates. More results. Gabon and Togo ended 1-2 in favor of Togo. Togo advancing, while Burkina Faso defeated Guinea-Bissau by a lone goal, 7-0 on aggregates. And the big one between Algeria and South Africa ended 1-1. South Africa did well enough in the first leg to advance into the next round. Let's quickly talk about the Falcons quickly. That game, I'm not sure you saw it. I'm not sure you watched it, because it wasn't really accessible to anyone out there.
No, it was...
Then we followed the reports.
Yeah, of course I did.
Yeah.
It was very difficult getting to see the game, but I think for the Falcons, the most important thing was the crucial moment when the penalty was conceded. Chiamaka Nnadozie talked about, after the game, it was official that she said she spoke to herself, and then just before the penalty, she said, this is the chance for me to actually go on and help my team and stake a claim. And she believed that, and she was able to save the penalty. And I think at that point in time, maybe a little bit of belief left the Ivorians, because it was in the first half. If they got that goal, all of a sudden they just need another goal, and we're going into extra time. And then it's a whole different ball game. But the Super Falcons were able to hold on, and then of course for Esther Okoronkwo getting the goal 3 minutes from time, that just sealed it totally, because at the 87th minute, even if Cote d'Ivoire had gotten a goal, there was still a chance to get a second one in stoppage time. But the time that goal came in, it means that we have a chance to now go on to win another AFCON title. The last time out, we won it by a hair's breadth after defeating South Africa. It feels like the gap that the Super Falcons had with the rest of African women's football is closing up. But remember that we need to do well at the African Women's Cup of Nations to stand a chance at being at the World Cup. Yeah, you're spot on. We mentioned Chiamaka Nnadozie. She was definitely one of the heroes for the Super Falcons yesterday against Cote d'Ivoire. She's been reflecting on her penalty save.
Yes, when the referee called the penalty, I told myself, this is the time for me to save the team. And I did exactly what I told myself. Before I came to the pitch, I told myself, today or never. So that was the spirit I put in the pitch. Going there to bring the trophy back home. It's ours. The trophy is for Nigeria. So we are going there to take what belongs to us. Yeah, I think the most important thing is the group stage, to qualify, to play against Ghana and against Cote d'Ivoire. These are one of the toughest teams in Africa, in the whole of Africa.
Exactly. Eliminated Cote d'Ivoire, eliminated Ghana, who's left for the South, for Nigeria, as serious opposition for the 2022 Women's Africa Cup of Nations. Of course, South Africa definitely would have a thing or two to say about that. The Falcons are back in the country. We saw pictures earlier of them at the Abuja International, Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport in Abuja, and there was a bit of hiccup. They were held up a bit over COVID-19 clearance issues, and but they have been free now, and they've left the airport, and they've all gone back to their bases.
I mean, I think we're happy that they were able to qualify. We don't like when we have situations like this. The optics do not look good at all. I saw that video, and we had, exactly, there was one of Rashida Tajibadi having to console her fellow teammate who was obviously distraught and feeling some kind of way with what's happening. I mean, they're exhausted. They're exhausted, and then they had a little bit of hiccup right there at the airport. But let's just move past this. Let's move past this. And it's an important tournament going forward. We need to have a good performance. I need us to win another outcome.
Indeed, there you go. Uchenna Kalu, obviously very distraught from the situation at the airport in Abuja. But like I said, they've now been free. The issue was surrounding COVID-19 clearance, but they've now been freed now, and they've left the airports. The coach, Randy Waldrum, has been reflecting on what happened.
Yeah, just very, very frustrating. We had a 2-hour flight from the Ivory Coast to return, and we've already been in this room for almost 2.5 hours. Very frustrating to come back home and have our players have to go through this this nonsense on all these COVID tests, which we've already taken multiple times to play the game and leave. So I don't really understand it, but it's very, very frustrating.
All right, I'll see the Super Falcons head coach, Randy Waldrum. They've got the job done. It's now time to start focusing on the Women's Africa Cup of Nations in July, so it's not too far away. There's no time to waste.
5 months.
Exactly. So, yeah, all the best to Nigeria as they seek to win yet another AFCON title. So we need to go on a break now. When we come back, we'll be focusing as a confirmation of all the teams that have qualified for the AFCON, from Morocco to Nigeria, Cameroon, South Africa, Uganda, Burundi, Zambia, Senegal, Togo, Tunisia, Burkina Faso, and Botswana. So those are the teams the Falcons will be contesting against in Morocco. Let's go on that break now. We'll come back. There's still a lot more on sport this morning. You're welcome back to Channel Sport this morning. It's time to take a look at match week or match day 8 fixtures. Results are coming from the NWFL Premiership. That's the Women's League in Nigeria. We have some very interesting results for you. In Group A, Confluence Queens recorded a 1-0 win over Nasarawa Amazons, while the biggest win in that group was between Niger Hotels, defeating Pelican Stars by 3-0. In Group B, FC Robo Queens 3-1 over Royal Queens. Fantastic victory for the Lagos side. While Sunshine Queens, of course, lost against the Rivers Angels. We talked about that yesterday. Rivers Angels are going to get all 3 points away from home. Delta Queens 2-0 over Abia Angels. So those are the results are coming from match day 8 of the NWFL Premiership, and 4 home wins, 1 away win was recorded, and we had 12 goals scored in match day 8 games that were played yesterday.
Yeah, I think for me, the takeaway there is Delta Queens winning by 2-0, and it means that their unbeaten run continues. They're the only team in the whole of the NWFL who have not lost a game. Wow. And you mentioned Niger Rattles, 3-0 winners over Pelican Stars. They're up to 3rd in Group A. For Pelican Stars, they are rooted to the bottom. They won just 1 of the 6 games that they've played. But we're seeing a lot of interesting results in the NPFL. Confluence Queens, a club very close to my heart, winning by 1-0. So it's good to see that our league is back, and then we're having amazing results. We had a 1 away win. Shout out to Rivers Angels,
of course,
that got that win away from home. So it just tells you that you can still get those wins. And let's see how the season unfolds. Let's see how the season
unfolds. At the moment, Group A, you have Nasarawa Amazons topping with 15 points from 7 games. They're followed by Edo Queens and Niger Rattles, who have been very impressive on their debut season. In Group B, Rivers Angels expectedly are topping that group with 16 points from 7 games. You mentioned Delta Queens are being unbeaten, but the fact of the matter is they've had a lot of draws, 4 in total, 3 wins. The second with 13 points from 7 games. They're followed by FC Robo of Lagos. So as action coming from the Nigeria Women's Professional Football League Premiership. Let's go to the NPFL now. 2 games went down yesterday between Plateau United and Gombe United. Plateau United had a chance to win that game and go back to the top of the league, but ended up being a 1-1 draw. They started very well. JC Akila scoring the opener for the Jos side in that game, but they conceded a late equalizer, and that's how the points were shared in that game. They remain second on the log. Sunshine Stars against Wicked Tourists, a match day 1 fixture that wasn't played on the original date, ended in favor of the Akure side.
Yeah, I mean, we see what's happening with the NPFL, and I think for Plateau United, they'll be kicking themselves. It was a huge opportunity. Yeah. I know Gombe United...
They've been in form as well.
Yeah, they have been in form. I think they were the team that ended Remo Stars' unbeaten run in match day 12, and they've been able to steadily pick up points. But for Plateau United, especially when you take the lead, it will be a huge disappointment for them, the fact that they didn't get to win all 3 points. But hey, being in second is not the worst thing ever.
Not at all.
We still have about 24 games. 24 games left in the NPFL this season. 72 points to fight for. They still have a chance to go on and win their first title since 2017.
Absolutely. The coach, Fidelis Lechuku, definitely has done a fantastic job with Plateau United right now. They're just 1 point behind Rivers United. Rivers in first on the log. Rivers have 29 points, while Plateau United have 28 points. They both played 14 games each. All right, so that's it for the Nigeria Professional Football League. Let's go to the UEFA Champions League now, the money spinning competition in Europe. The best, unarguably, I saw 2 fantastic games yesterday involving Manchester United and Atletico Madrid. We also saw Benfica taking on Ajax. That game ended 2-2, while the first one between Atletico Madrid and Manchester United ended 1-1. Anthony Elanga, like I said, coming up clutch once again for Manchester United. Once again, we're not impressive. The first half was very dire for the Red Devils, but they found a way to get a draw. But unfortunately, what have they cancelled the game this time around? Away goals.
Yeah.
Doesn't really matter. It doesn't really count, right?
I think Manchester United will be really hurt. They'll be really hurt the fact that there's no away goal. Because if the away goal rule applied, all Manchester United would have needed at Old Trafford is a clean sheet.
That's all.
Avoid conceding, and then you get a progression to the quarterfinals. But I think you were very spot on as regards how it was a disappointing first half for Manchester United.
Yep.
They didn't create anything in the first half. And then shout out to Atletico Madrid. They were able to walk the ball into wide spaces. They played with the 3-5-2 formation yesterday. And Renat Lodi was a constant menace to Victor Lindelof, who was a strange selection at right back, by the way, because Rafael Angling had both Wan-Bissaka and Diego Dallo on the bench and decided to go for a centre-back in a limited full-back role. But all in all, despite Bruno Fernandes' disappointing display over 90 minutes, the key moment, what a pass. I was having a discussion in the office, and a few colleagues felt the defender didn't cover himself in glory, but I think the angle of the pass took the ball away from the defender, and what a finish by Elanga. That was a very, very well-taken goal, right on the ground. The ball didn't leave the ground, and then he was able to get the ball across Jan Oblak, whose positioning might have been questioned. I mean, he's not been really good this season. It's probably his worst season as an Atletico Madrid goalkeeper. But for Manchester United, they've kept themselves in this tie. If the tie ended 1-0, you know, Atletico Madrid could easily have gone to Old Trafford and just play 2 bangs of 4, and 2 bangs, exactly, and then just try to frustrate and ensure that Manchester United don't get to score. But now, going into the game at Old Trafford, there is a chance for Manchester United to actually progress to the quarterfinals.
There is a chance, indeed. You mentioned, what's his name now?
Elanga?
Not Elanga. Bruno Fernandes. Didn't have a good game at
No.
all. Pogba didn't have a good game. Those two players especially were guilty of giving the ball away, very cheaply. But they managed to overcome all of that, and they got points courtesy Anthony Elanga off the bench 5 minutes after coming on to the pitch for Marcus Rashford. Let's get the post-match thoughts of Ralph Rangnick. Okay, while we wait for the post-match reaction coming from Ralph Rangnick, let's spare a bit of thoughts for Atletico Madrid. They were missing their better players on the day, so many of them, including Luis Suarez, and they still managed to. I thought they were the better side. João Felix with a fantastic header to give them the lead in that game. They hit the post, they hit the bar as well. So yeah, you can count them very unlucky in that one. I'll get your thoughts on Atletico Madrid. That's after we listen to Ralph Rangnick.
We were just not playing the ball and passing the ball with conviction. We didn't play the ball vertical. We didn't play the ball to the important, dangerous areas. And this was why we made it very easy for them to keep a clean sheet in the first half. And those things went better after we had made the first substitutions. And with every substitution, we had more, I wouldn't say control of the game, but at least we were in the game. We were winning second balls. We were winning balls in midfield. And we had our moments up front. And I think if at the end the game would have been played another 10 minutes, we might have even scored a second one. But in total, if you look at the whole game, we have to be very happy with the result. But we showed it in the last half hour. And this is why the game became a different twist, and I think we deserved at the end to come back into the game, although we could have been 2-0 down, but only being 1-0 down, we know that from our own experience. We had quite a few games when we were only 1-0 up, and in the end conceded the equalizer. Today we were on the other side. We scored the equalizer 5 or 10 minutes from the end.
United getting out of jail in that game, courtesy Anthony Elanga, I'm not quite sure I agree with Rannick saying if they had a few more minutes, they could have gotten the winner.
I mean,
did you think they were actually
they were not as bad
as the first half.
in the latter stages as they were. The first half was really appalling for Manchester United. Paul Pogba giving the ball away, Fernandes time and time again just
Rashford
was off. Sancho was okay, well, he had a decent game. Ronaldo had to drop so deep because he was starved of service. And Manchester United, up until the 73rd minute, they had no shot at all in the particular encounter. In fact, Atletico Madrid's shot on target, which was the goal, was the only one going into the dying embers of the game. But for Manchester United, it improved slightly. They started finding gaps in the Atletico Madrid half. Maybe the players were tiring out. But like you said, Felix was really good yesterday. He was drawing fouls. He got very nice positioning in the box to get the goal. And we're really evenly poised going into the second leg.
Indeed. That's exactly the best way to describe it. It's evenly, delicately poised for the return leg at Old Trafford. Now let's go to the other game. What a match we saw between Ajax and Benfica. I mean, it's so hard to keep up with these games now because they're going on simultaneously. So you end up having to, switch stations. But then a very interesting matchup ended 2-2 in favor of, favor of nobody.
In favor of the fans.
The fans and the viewers, right?
Exactly.
Because it was a thoroughly enjoyable game of football. Sebastian Haller, once again, can't stop scoring. Scored one against his team as well.
I mean, if I ask anyone who they think would have broken Ronaldo's record that he set a few years ago, I don't think Haller's name would ever have popped up. But he has 11 goals now in 7 Champions League matches.
Scored in all games.
He scored in every single Champions League game that he has played. That is massive. First of all, he became only the second player, and that's after Ronaldo, to score in all 6 group stage matches of the UEFA Champions League campaign. And now, yesterday, he started off on the wrong end because very unlucky for him after Dusan Tadic had given Ajax the lead. There was a cross into the box that came off his boot and it went into the net and it was 1-1. And I was making the joke that, well, at least Sebastian Haller is on the score sheet. But he did it at the right end about 2 minutes later, and then Ajax were leading 2-1. I think they will kick themselves the fact that they took the lead twice yesterday and they didn't fail. They actually failed to win the game. But credit must go to Benfica. They never dropped their heads. They were always in the encounter. And it's so good for Ajax, the fact that it's so good for Benfica, rather, the fact that there are no away goals. Awesome. Because if there were away goals,
it's a problem.
Ajax would just have needed a draw with less than 2 goals and they would have progressed. But going into the second leg is anybody's game. And these are 2 sides that know how to score goals, like we saw yesterday.
Indeed.
4 of the 8 round of 16 matches that we've seen have been draws. I think only one encounter is done, and that's the one. The City game. Maybe you say Liverpool have already progressed as well against Inter, and then Chelsea against Leo. That one is heavily favoured towards Chelsea. But from the PSG Real Madrid game to the other 4 games that ended in draws, everything is still in the balance.
Still in the balance, indeed. You made mention of how that game was in favour of the fans, both at the stadium as well as those watching on TV. That's exactly what the coach of Ajax, Erik ten Hag, has been talking about.
We know Benfica had really good players. We knew in front before the game, and you could see it on the pitch. It was a really high, intense game with fantastic football players on both sides, but also on Benfica side. And I think for the fans, for everyone in the stadium, but also in television, I think everyone enjoyed this game. There were a lot of actions in the box, on both boxes. And so, but as a coach, you want to be and have more control. And I think it was possible. If we are more composed on the ball, then we could even create more chances. And also we can defend better the counter-attacks from Benfica.
All right, as Erik ten Hag, obviously slightly disappointed that they couldn't hold on for the victory against Benfica. Let's take a step down now to the Europa League and see the games that will go down today. Obviously, there is a star matchup between Barcelona and Napoli. From the first leg, it was 1-1. So that's another tie that is delicately poised. So those are the fixtures for you knockout round playoffs. Dynamo Zagreb versus Sevilla. Lazio will take on FC Porto. Olympiacos versus Atalanta. There's also Real Sociedad versus Leipzig. Napoli versus Barcelona definitely is a star matchup of tonight. Elsewhere, Rangers will look to build on that fantastic away win when they take on Borussia Dortmund. We also have Real Betis versus Zenit St. Petersburg, as well as SC Braga against FC Sheriff. Let's focus on Barcelona and Napoli. 1-1 from the first leg. How do you see the second leg playing out?
It will be very interesting because we've seen two teams in totally different places right now. Napoli had the chance to go level on points with Inter Milan over the weekend. They didn't take that particular one. Barca had a very, very good display against Valencia, winning by 4-1. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang getting 2 goals. It could easily have been a hat-trick.
The last one. Right?
Well, the last one was credited to Pedri, but I think for Xavi, he'll be really excited with what he's seen from his players, especially the January signings, Ferran Torres, the likes of Adama Traore, but Dani Alves wasn't in the summer. And
even Dembele has been reintegrated.
He's been slowly getting back to some semblance of form. I think for Barcelona today, they're in a better position than Napoli, and then they're in a better position than they were over the first leg.
True.
I think I would just give Barcelona the advantage. I don't know how excited their fans will be about the potential of winning the Europa League, but I think they have a huge chance to knock out Napoli today. And once you start getting past certain knockout games, you can begin to dream.
Damian, I don't know, what is that saying about beggars not being able to
choose, right?
Yeah, come on, this is their reality. This is their reality. Barcelona fans are, come on, if they go all the way to...
But we know the average Barcelona fan is really... Proud is not the word, but they've been spoiled with success. The average Barcelona fan has been spoiled with success. The last time they were in the Europa League, then it was the UEFA Cup, it was 2004. So they're not used to being in this competition.
I hear you.
And... well, maybe the fact that their La Liga position is not so secure right now, they're flirting around with the top 4. Maybe they'll look at the Europa League as a potential route back into the Champions League, actually.
This is their reality, unfortunately. Barcelona are there in the Europa League, and it's going to be a tough one in Naples against Napoli. Victor Osimhen will be looking to help Luciano Spalletti's side advance into the next round of the Europa League. So that's it for football on the European continent. So let's go to football in the Premier League. I said at the start of the show that we've got a title race on our hands. That's after Liverpool absolutely annihilated Leeds United by 6-0 to close the gap on Man City to 3 points. Let's take a look at the results of the games that were played yesterday. We also saw a matchup between Crystal Palace and Watford. Watford's issues are, it's not looking great for Roy Hodgson at all. They lost against Crystal Palace by 4-1. And they're still stuck in relegation waters. And the last game saw Burnley with a 1-0 win over Tottenham Hotspurs. Tottenham, of course, Spursy. They don't call them that for nothing. Just a couple of days after they defeated Manchester City at the Etihad. All right, Liverpool. What a game.
What a performance.
I mean, we kind of knew that Leeds were the perfect, opponent for Liverpool because of the way they play the kamikaze style. They don't know how to defend, to save their lives, and we knew Salah and Mane were going to feast, and that's exactly what they did.
That's what happened. It was obviously always going to be a one-sided affair because going into the match, Liverpool had scored the most goals in the Premier League. Leeds had considered the second most goals in the Premier League. So we obviously knew that Liverpool could get so many goals. I don't think anybody expected it to reach 6. Salah and Mane both getting a brace. Mane winning one of the penalties and then also going on. Salah getting the assist for Joao Matip's goal. He was directly involved in the first 3 goals. And in astonishing fashion, the top 3 highest goal scorers in the Premier League, Liverpool players, Salah 19, Jota 12, Mane 11. The highest guys with the assist, also Liverpool players, Trent and Salah with 10, Robertson with 9.
Wow.
The most important thing for Liverpool is they want to be the team with the highest points come the end of the season. And they're giving themselves a real chance. They're just 3 points behind Manchester City at this point in time. And both teams get to play each other at the Etihad much later. So if both teams win all their remaining matches, the title will be decided in that game. If Man City are able to hold off Liverpool, they get to win the league. If Liverpool win, because they have a better goal difference, they're on plus 50. I think Man City are about plus 46. So Liverpool have really tracked themselves back into the title race because Man City have dropped 5 points over the last 4 games. Liverpool have won 6 in a row.
Wow. Wow. Awesome. Awesome for the neutrals out there. It looks like we've got a very exciting end to the season. Not so great for that man on your screen. Marcelo Bielsa, Leeds United, totally atrocious. They've conceded 56 goals now, and it's looking like they are in a relegation battle. We need to go on a break now. When we come back, we'll be talking about what went down between Spurs and Burnley. Antonio Conte, it's safe to say, is not a happy camper this morning. You're welcome back. Spurs took on Burnley yesterday night, looking and hoping to build on that incredible result they got at the Etihad against Man City. But guess what? They were stunned. Ben Mee scoring the winner for Sean Dyche's side. And, of course, that's the celebrations right there coming from Ben Mee. And once again, Tottenham Hotspur have flattered to deceive anyone that has been following Spurs. Should not or will not be surprised by what we saw yesterday. And that man on your screen, Antonio Conte, is a very, very frustrated man this morning. Yeah,
I mean, you said something earlier on, Spursy. Yeah. They're not called that for nothing.
It's a real thing.
It feels like this team is the ultimate club when it comes to building you up just to let you down. I mean, you go to the Etihad Stadium and you win by 3-2. The manner in which that game was won, you felt like Spurs had actually turned the corner. Can you remember something similar happened against Leicester City, even though that one they were trailing and they were able to get 2 late goals. Yeah. Only to play against a Burnley side that have struggled all season and lose without scoring a goal. Spurs have now lost 4 of their last 5 Premier League games. It has not been a good start to 2022 for them. Also, we saw what Chelsea did to them in the Carabao Cup, over 2 legs. And Antonio Conte is beginning to feel the pinch. He went on a rant yesterday after the game and then talked about the broader picture. He wants to speak about the broader picture and then there are things that need to be done. And he already sounds like a man who is frustrated in his post. And I don't know what he expected. Did he think he was going to go to Spurs and win the league the way he did with Chelsea and Inter Milan?
What was he thinking about?
It's been 1 January transfer window and he's already complaining. The thing is, he has nothing to lose, really, because if his contract is terminated right now, Daniel Levy has to pay a whole lot of money. But Spurs need to turn the corner sooner rather than later. Sooner rather than later. You talked about the rant. Let's go through it quickly before we take a look at the papers. Antonio Conte, after that loss against Burnley, and speaking generally about Spurs, Tottenham's struggles recently, he says, and I quote, it was a difficult night. It's not only tonight. In the last 5 games, we've lost 4 games. It means there will be an assessment about the club, about me, because I think for me, it's very frustrating to lose 4 out of 5. He adds, for sure, the situation speaks clear. I'm really sorry for the fans. I am really sorry because I think they don't deserve this. But when you lose 4 out of 5, it means the club has to make an assessment, also to speak together and to understand what is the best solution in this situation. The players are always the same in this club. The club changed coaches, but the players are the same, and the results don't change. That's some serious stuff coming from Antonio Conte right there. Yeah. What's going on? So looks like he's losing the plot already. Yeah, it looks like, and then he's basically saying there's only one constant. The players. Exactly. And when a manager starts having I won't call it a war, but when a manager starts calling out players, whether in a subtle manner or very brazenly, usually it only ends one way. It is the manager that gets the boot. You hardly find a situation where the club decides to pick a manager over a player, especially when it's a collection of players. It's easier to just change the manager than terminate contracts of the players. So it looks like Conte is already with his back against the wall, and he might only last the end of the season, depending on now what happens in the summer or what Daniel Levy thinks. He might just be out of job by the end of the season. Interesting situation at the Tottenham Stadium. A lot of Spurs fans, at least the ones on Twitter, thought Jose was just the problems. And once Jose is gone, it's all gravy. And now they've had Nuno Santo, didn't even last. Conte is already complaining barely 4 months into the job. So be careful what you wish for out there, guys, especially on the internet. It's very strange out there. Even with the papers, let's take a look at what the papers are saying before we close the show. We've got 3 in the studio, starting with Sporting Life. Osimhen has Maradona's qualities. Easy, Tiger. Easy. But that's coming from the coach, though. Luciano Spalletti says Nigerian has outstanding characteristics.
For you, Osimhen, what do you think is his strongest points?
I think running through the channels. I think I've seen that a lot of times. If he's able to get the pass played between the centre-back and the full-back, he can be really, really deadly. Sometimes his decision-making needs to be a little bit better, but I think that is his biggest quality, the fact that he's very, very quick and he can steal a match on the defender. So if he gets that ball in the channels, he's always willing to make a run in behind the defender. And then we saw his equalizer over the weekend. That was a good header. He's also good in the air. There was a particular goal I saw, I think it was the goal before this one, where he suspended in the air for a few seconds. It was really, really good from Victor Osimhen. And hopefully he can build on the fact that he has gotten a few goals in the last 3, 4, 5 matches.
True that. Barcelona definitely have to be very wary about Victor Osimhen later tonight as Falcons qualify for 2022 WAFCON. I've talked about that in great detail already. Iheanacho to start as for Leicester against Randers. It's a very strange situation concerning Iheanacho. Ended the season with a bang last year, top scorer and all of that. You thought, okay, yeah, this is going to build. All of a sudden, he's found himself on the bench again behind Vardy, Daka, and now Ademola Lookman, even though they don't really play the same position like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a situation for Kelechi Iheanacho at this point in time where he has to evaluate things. We always say this time and time again, but I think for him, he'll be most disappointed because after such a great end to last season, he felt he was going to kick on. And then Vardy didn't start the season like a house on fire. Iheanacho, he felt like it might be a chance for him to get back into the side. But Patindaka was signed, and it feels like Patindaka is ahead of him in the pecking order. But what he has to do is games like this, the Europa Conference League, when you get matches like this, you have to stake a claim. You have to leave it all on the field of play so that the manager remembers your performance from the continental game when he's making the selection for the league game.
That's it. Take your chance when you get it. Kelechi Iheanacho starting tonight against Randers. Of course, Leicester have a comfortable lead from the first leg already. Lastly, on Sporting Live, Chelsea fans prefer Havertz to Lukaku. That's ahead of the Carabao Cup final against Liverpool this weekend. The curious case of Romelu Lukaku.
Yeah, interesting. £97.5 million Chelsea paid for a striker to solve their goal-scoring issues. And the striker himself is having his goal-scoring issues. Havertz was on the score sheet for Chelsea as they beat Lille by 2-0. And then he already had more touches in 15 minutes than Lukaku had in the whole 90 minutes against Crystal Palace. I think this is a situation that we will see developing as the season goes on. But as typical with Chelsea, when a striker has a lot of money attached to him, more often than not, after struggling, he always still gets chances. You can look at Morata, you can look at Fernando Torres, Andrei Shevchenko. The list is endless.
All right, so let's see how that game pans out on Sunday. Of course, the coach, Thomas Tuchel, has already come out to say Lukaku has a good chance of playing in that game, but fingers crossed I will see if he does start. Indeed, let's go to Complete Sports now. That's the next paper. Arsenal £83.5 million rate for Osimhen and Fabian Ruiz. Napoli coach compares Osimhen to Maradona. We talked about that already. Arteta braced for roller coaster top 4 race. Henry questions Chelsea decision to sign £98 million Romelu Lukaku. Chelsea showing interest in buying Serge Gnabry. There's also a story concerning Balogun. It's good, it's fit, and available to face Borussia Dortmund. That is the injury worries of recent, and we're hoping he's back to full fitness.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. We always want our players to be playing regularly, especially when they're playing for clubs who are closer to the top of the table in their respective leagues. So hopefully Balogun gets back into the team now that he's closer to full fitness.
Indeed. And last on Complete Sports, Muntari back for Black Stars return. I've got a smile on my face. I'm not sure exactly which Muntari they're talking about. Surely it's not Sule Muntari. Which other Muntari do we
that's the top of the mind. It has to be Sule Muntari back for the Black Stars. Whatever happens, the Super Eagles must knock out the Black Stars.
Yeah, bottom line. Sporting Sun is our last paper for review. Ghana coaches working on empty stomach, okay? Ghana seems to be having their issues as well, too. I guess that is good for the Super Eagles. Real Madrid to announce Mbappe deal soon. Interesting. Super Falcons qualify for 2022. WAFCON, we talked about that already. And Murray is out of the Dubai Tennis Championships. Barca ready to hijack Isaac and Koundé transfers, as well as Manchester United. Chelsea learning new asking price for Declan Rice, who has over £100 million now.
Yeah. I mean, David Moyes and West Ham do not want him to go. He has about 2 years left on his contract, and West Ham have the option of extending it by a further year. Anyone who's going to sign Declan Rice will most likely have to pay 9 figures.
Definitely a boatload of money if you want to get Declan Rice. I want to thank you for coming on the show again, Dami.
It's always a pleasure to be on Sports This Morning.
Always appreciate your insights and analysis as always. Thank you all for watching as well to enjoy the rest of your day. I am Tayo Salam.